And today we will begin our vlog right here in front of this awesome storefront, which I do believe this is a butcher shop. But look at all the signs that they have collected here at this butcher shop. Even right here on the ceiling is a lot of signs. Signs, signs everywhere, signs. Heck yeah, man. Who sung that? Was it Tesla? Had the song called Signs. There's a lot of signs here. Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitchhiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. It's going to be a good one today. We're going to visit the small South Carolina town known as Whitmire. Talk about the history, look at some numbers, and check out how this small town is doing today here in December 2025. It's going to be a good one. Look at this old classic truck. That is awesome. And speaking of truck, let's keep on trucking because we're almost to the downtown area. As the bells are chiming in the background at the local church, this here is the first structures we are going to be viewing today here in the small town of Whitmire, South Carolina. Now, I do think there's plenty of abandonment and rough looking buildings as these are throughout the day and as you can see off there in the distance, but I also think this town is in the process of revitalizing the town, making improvements, cleaning things up. Okay, so right here on the corner of Broome Street and Main Street is a really awesome mural for the town. See a train right here, a train depot. And a gentleman down here on the lower right-hand corner, just laying on his back, looking at the sky, taking it all in. Very beautiful. You can find this right on the side of the Whitmire Medical Center building. And right here on Main Street, look at these buildings. I love the colors and the architecture to these buildings. Very nice, as I can hear some piano music playing off in the distance at this time of morning. That's a little bit strange. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the settlement here in the area. The area was first settled by a person named John Duncan, who built a home along a creek, which is now called Duncan Creek, the earliest settlement that will become part of Whitmire. The town is named after the family of George Frederick Whitmire, who established a tavern and post office in the area before the 1790s. Its transformation from rural settlement to real town began when the Georgia, Carolina, and Northern Railway arrived in 1890. Just a year later, Whitmire was formally incorporated in 1891. So that is a little backstory about the town and how it received its name. All right, I made my way down here to the corner of Gillum Street and Main Street. And this is the location of this awesome little town hall. Look at this building. Is that not cute? Look at this. It is beautiful. I love the paint job, the outline, the highlights of like that orange, burnt orange color. That is really rad. So let's get into some of the numbers. So the population here in Whitmire, South Carolina is 1,641 souls with a median age of 45.4. So next up, let's talk about demographics of the town. 80.5% is white, 15.78% is black, 3.11% is mixed race, and other is 0.61%. All right, I'm gonna walk up Market Street now. Looks like there used to be like some kind of a ghost sign right here. Maybe it said China. Who knows? Maybe they had a China buffet here at one time or something. Not really sure. But I thought we would just kind of take a little stroll up Market Street. And while we're up this way, we're going to get into some more numbers. Talk about income. Income per capita is $19,318, which is obviously below South Carolina's $25,521 and the national at $29,829. And then the median household income is $31,464. That's kind of low. And it is well below the South Carolina average of $46,898 and the national at $55,322. And now as we look down below, we can see the poverty level at 22.1. That's kind of high. South Carolina's poverty rate is 17.2 and respectively 15.1 for the national. So poverty level is a little higher than you would want to see it here in the town of Whitmire. So now let's look at crime. Whitmire's crime is 2.4 per 1,000 people is their total crime number, which is right on par with South Carolina's 2.4, just slightly above. And the national at 2.1, which means Whitmire does have a little bit of crime going on here. Nothing really alarming, not nowhere near as high as some of the places I have shown in the past, of course, but not too bad. And violent crimes are actually 0, so that is really, really good. Yeah, I'm telling you, these properties right here are in pretty rough shape. Maybe they're in the process of tearing some of these places down. But as you can see, the whole back end of this store has been removed. The whole front has been demolished. And right here looks like they used to have some more stores that has been recently removed also. So I did read online back in 1916 they had a pretty severe fire here in the downtown area, and it burned down a lot of structures and a lot of buildings. And supposedly when you're walking around town, you will be able to see some of the undercarriage of those businesses, or like the pads where they once set, or the fire struck that area. But be honest with you, I'm really not sure how I'm going to be able to tell much, because they're in the process of removing buildings. And I mean, I can tell that there was never in a fire. That was obviously recently knocked down, but I've been kind of just venturing around looking and keeping my eyes peeled for any kind of really old pads where maybe a store used to have set at one time. And matter of fact, this could be one right up here. So I'll walk down this little side street. I seen this kind of defunct, crumbling cinder block area. I thought this might have been something of an old fire, but I do not think so, because if it would have been a fire, most likely that wood right there would not be still attached to the cinder blocks. This just looks like another very defunct backside of this store. It's been this way for quite some time, because look at all these trees and how big these trees are that's growing in the confines of this old building, where what once was a building, because the roof and everything has been gone for quite some time. Look at this old store right here. That is pretty rad. I mean, it's got this old sign up here. If you notice, it still has the light bulbs in it from the illuminated sign. Now, all the plastic that used to be on the outside naming what this store was at one time is long gone. But it's kind of cool with the light elements are still there after all these years, leaving that behind. A lot of times when it comes to bulbs like that, people will remove them in fear of a storm or something hitting them, breaking them, things like that. But somebody definitely left them behind, that's for sure. And right here is an old cinder block building. Windows missing. And it looks like the whole back end has been removed, or just maybe it just fell in. The roof fell in on itself, possibly. What a great place to put a sign. I mean, they just put it right here in the middle of Market Street. No Rhode Island or anything there. They just put this "Do Not Enter" sign right here on Market Street, right in the middle of the road. And if you notice right there behind it, that is indeed a Red Dot store, which my friends in South Carolina tells me that is how you know when something sells liquor. Is that when it has that red dot on it. Now, a lot of times you see 3 red dots. On this one, I'm assuming this was one of those stores because of the red dots. They got 3 on it, but they're just not all 3 together. They're on each side of the building, which I think is always fascinating, to put red dots on liquor stores where everybody knows, hey, that's an ABC store or whatnot. Kind of cool. Wow, look at this old place. That's wild. That has got some age to it, folks. That is rustic as it gets. And look here on the walls of this location. It's got red dots on it too. What the heck? This is another red dot store. It's called Nook's ABC Liquor. So I gotta say, I'm really happy that I walked up Market Street. That was some really interesting storefronts and buildings and things, which makes me want to continue on with a little history about the town. So in 1902, a textile factory showed up. It was called the Glen Lowry Mill. It opened equipped with hundreds of looms and thousands of spindles, marking the start of a booming textile era for the town of Whitmire. So this here is a South Carolina museum for bottles. That's kind of fascinating. Look at all these Pepsi bottles they have right here in the window. And is that a Miss Butterworth? Heck yeah, man, I love Miss Butterworth syrup. Some good stuff. Look at all these bottles they have in there. They ain't kidding, man. See if I can let you check that out. Look at that. They even got an old Mountain Dew bottle right there. That is a real relic. I also think it's very fascinating that it's not open all the time. It's only open by appointment. And right there's the information if you are in the area and you're a big fan of bottles. There's your information to call Marty or Chris to set up an appointment to go check out their bottle museum. Okay, I've made my way over here to the corner of Glen Street and Central Ave. And notice Glen Street, that's a very prominent name for this town because remember earlier I told you about the Glen Lowry Mill. Well, this area is actually connected to all that. As I noticed, there is a little bird right here up in this tree. If you can see, there is a bird nest right there. And I did not mean to disturb you, little fella. I'm just gonna make my way across the road here because this big vacant lot right here, this big pad, this here is the old site of the cotton mill, the Glen Lowry Mill that was built in 1902. This was a big part of the growth of the town, and that's why I wanted to make sure I showed this while I was here. Now, the gentleman in town that told me about this location, he said that the last name it was connected to this mill while it was here was called J.P. Stevens. And I've heard of that name before because in North Carolina, back where I'm from, we had a J.P. Stevens in the area. So yeah, but this was called J.P. Stevens, but before that, this here was called the Glen Lowry Mill. It was right here. Big part of the growth of the town. Want to make sure I showed it. And he also told me it would be worth my time if we go down this way, because I come down Glen Street, and he said when you get down there at the end of Glen, you'll see the old mill site itself. And he said if you take a right and go up in these neighborhoods right over here, this is where all the housing was built for the mill workers back in the early 1900s. So we're going to do that next. And then I'm starting to get a little bit of wet. It is starting to drizzle, and it's intensifying ever so slightly, by the second. So I want to make sure I get this in, and then we're going to wrap our vlog up and end it. So let's go check out the houses and kind of check out the homes here in the community. And then we're going to wrap our video up today. I definitely understand why he called it a hill now. He said the house is on the hill. So right here is some of the properties that he was referring to, I do believe. And they do look old and quite rough. Definitely people still living here. But this right here is supposedly all the mill housing that the mill built for the workers over here in this area. That was a cute little house at one time. It's a little pink one right here. Really neat. You can definitely see the age in these structures. The road that I was just driving down was called Sim Street. You see these homes. Look at this old relic right here. And this old house here is definitely abandoned. Look at everything, it's just kind of grown up all over it. I find it very fascinating just to drive around these old neighborhoods and Look at the architecture of these old mill houses here that was built for the workers for the cotton mill. Very interesting. And just always notice like how close together the homes were built, you know, for the mill workers, man. They didn't have much land at all, you know. And I guess the big question is, did they pay, I wonder if they paid the mill workers in real money, or was it like scripts, you know, like the meal money, like maybe they had like a store where you could only buy, you know, their items in their company store. You know, some old mills used to do stuff like that, which I thought was really, really crooked. But that was definitely a thing back in the day. But all in all, I had a great day today in Whitmire, South Carolina, learning a little bit about this little small town. And this town's definitely going through some changes. A lot of old, crumbly, like abandoned stuff here, of course. But I got to say, the main street is looking pretty good. You know, I mean, just look at those buildings up there. They got some folks here. They have a little cafe up there. They're taking in some breakfast this morning and having a go at it, enjoying their weekend, getting it started off right. And yeah, it's a good time, really good time today here in Whitmire, South Carolina. But all that being said, I'm going to wrap up the video now. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me a little bit today and learning a little bit about this small town. I had a good time. Very rainy. It's very rainy. It's like on the verge of raining all the time. And then finally, when I was over there at the cotton mill, it finally caught up with me and started raining. I had to get back in the truck like quick because this camera that I'm using is not waterproof. Not this one. I have other ones that are waterproof, but this one was not. And so yeah, good time today. Thanks for taking your time to hang out with me. Enjoy a little small town, little southern town fun. Until next time, friends, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe, and I hope to see you all again soon. So long from Whitmire, South Carolina. It was a good one today. Really enjoyed myself.